provide remote access for the public, what we can do is go ahead with the items on the agenda tonight, and then at the next meeting, presuming we'll have remote access available, we can modify it.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we are live on YouTube now.
Well, everyone, it is live now, so we're up and running. So we'll proceed.
And someone has their microphone on with the council meeting running on YouTube at the same time.
No, it's on, but it is not clear or clean.
Can you turn your mics off, council members?
Thank you very much. Sorry, Mayor, we should be able to proceed now.
Okay, so as I understand it, we are live
Yes, we are.
with broadcasting, so we will proceed with the meeting. Council, can you still hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So we do have one proclamation this evening. That's the next item on the agenda. It's the declaration of emergency. On March 17th, I declared a declaration of emergency for the city of Lasanna. This follows similar declarations made by Clark County and other communities across the state. The declaration is a preparative measure that allows the cities to move swiftly and legally in response through streamlining processes and providing access to federal, state, and local emergency resources and funds. Any emergency orders or actions taken under the declaration anticipated to be done in coordination with a regional response. Council, you all have a copy of the emergency declaration. It's actually the proclamation of civil emergency, and I trust that you have read it. I don't know that I want to read through the whole proclamation this evening. Does anyone have questions?
No.
So if there are no questions, if I could get a motion to approve?
Mayor, I move. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the proclamation of civil emergency dated March 17th of 2020. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? The proclamation is approved. I think going forward, I'm just going to do a roll call vote on everything. I mean, it's clear that everybody is saying aye, but I'm not 100% that that's what it is, so we'll just do it individually going forward on any other votes that we take. Is that okay? Okay.
Sounds good.
So next is citizens' public comment. For this evening's meeting, we asked any citizens that wanted to comment to send their comments into the city clerk prior to this evening's meeting, and we do have, I believe, 3. The city clerk, Dustin Bailey, will read those out loud. We will adhere to the 3-minute rule, so if it goes past 3 minutes, we'll quit reading them, but we'll go ahead and let Dustin read through those at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. So the first comment is from Arland Wood, 1027 West A Avenue. I have been discussing the following issues for over 2 months with the city's Public Works Department and have attended 3 city council meetings. I have made comments at 2 of these meetings. I'm still waiting to receive a response and want to know what actions are currently in place to resolve these concerns. LCMC 18.130.070 height regulations. This municipal code states the maximum building height in all LCD districts shall be 35 feet measured from lowest finished grade level to the highest point of the roof. I live in South Gordon's Crest subdivision. In 2005, I attended an access meeting concerning Gordon Crest development. At that time, I was informed the tallest building would not be over 39.5 feet. My house and the house being constructed have properties in common. This house is more than 47 feet high when measuring from the air vent and the foundation to the top of the roof, 12 feet plus higher than allowed in LCMC. To date, none of my questions have been answered. Why is this building allowed to continue building? Why has no stop order been issued? Why is La Center Municipal Code 18.130.070 height regulation not being adhered to? When will a stop order be given, and when will the house conform to La Center Municipal Code? If the Public Works Department is waiting for their lawyer to make a determination, then a stop work order should be given until a determination is decided. What are the future plans on the building height in La Center's LCR districts? When will I know and other long-term La Center citizens receive a response on these questions? And that concludes the first comment.
Thank you.
Second comment. Laura Martin, 903 East 7th Street, La Center, Washington. Good evening, council members. First off, I would like to thank Mayor Pro Tem Cerveny for providing a response regarding the movement of the citizens' public comment. It was much appreciated to have a response to one of the many questions I have brought to the council that have went unanswered. Tonight, I would like to address the city's wasteful spending and would like to ask for your help in restoring a fiscally responsible government as we head into uncertain times due to the COVID-19. The city's budget was already showing a deficit before COVID-19. However, our spending has never seemed to reflect the deficit. Now that the card rooms, the city's largest revenue source, is shut down for the unforeseeable future, how are we going to slow down the spending? There is another solution to the budget shortfall: economize and eliminate wasteful spending. The amount of wasteful spending that is flowing out of the city for the last year speaks for itself. Specifically, I would like to talk about wasteful spending on consultants and legal costs for employee-related issues that should easily be resolved within a city that has 21 employees at most. Consulting and legal costs for personnel continue to take an ever-increasing bite out of the city's budget. Officials cannot increase costs while kicking debt problems down the road with no resolution except asking for tax increases. The city continues to spend taxpayer money on high-paid consultants to advise them. The city's use of high-paid consultants begs the larger question: why does the city need the advice in the first place rather than finding qualified employees? The bigger question you should ask yourself is whether the city leaders are looking out for taxpayers' best interests, or that special interests drive local decisions for their own purposes. We as taxpayers have to economize and eliminate wasteful spending within our household budget. The city should be fiscally responsible as well, since it's our tax dollars being spent. I ask that the city put financial policies in place to force reductions in consultant costs to reduce projected tax increases due to the city's current spending pattern. Here's a breakdown of taxpayer funds spent since January 2019 to current on consultants for employee-related issues. $123,710, Sound Employment Solutions, Janice Corbin, HR consultant. $86,519, legal costs, various lawyers, mostly Summit Law. $210,229 in employee-related consulting fees. And that concludes that comment.
Okay, thank you for that.
The third comment. Chris Martin, 903 East 7th Street, La Center, Washington. Wasteful spending on new City Hall buildings. It was stated back in November 2019 when the TDS building was purchased that it was projected the new City Hall would be up and running in 6 months. However, here we are 16 months later, construction has yet to start, and we continue to dump money into the building with no end in sight. When will this be completed, and how will the city fund it due to the uncertain times with the city's main funding sources being depleted due to COVID-19. Here's a breakdown of just some of the taxpayer funds spent on the vacant building since November 2018. $935,000 purchase of the building. $178,928 architect's maintenance and 25% of Jeff Swanson's salary. $1,113,928 costs spent before any construction started. In reviewing the community development staff reports for the last 16 months, the status updates seem to be duplicated over and over again with no completion date in sight. Here is what the staff report status updates show. 11/28/2019, transitioning to the new City Hall. If the city closes its purchase on the TDS building in 2018, city staff that currently occupy 3 separate buildings will be consolidated into one building in 2019. Having all city services in one building will make the services more customer-friendly and efficient. And the proceeds from the eventual sale of the surplus building will cover the estimated 3/4 of the cost of the building. 2/27/19. New City Hall building is starting to the process of being worked on. Architect will be drawing up plans in the near future. 3/27/2019. New City Hall, Johansson Wing Architects PC continues to assist the city with space planning for the new City Hall building. Johansson Wing Architect staff met with city to assess current and future needs and to measure the building. Johansson Wing Architects are currently working on conceptual drawings for the space. 4/10/2019. TDS building pre-design work and for tenant improvements nearly completed. Architect is developing a work scope and cost of engineer tenant improvements, provide associated cost estimates, and prepare bid documents. 5/22/2019. TDS building, architects are completing preliminary evaluation for structural aspects of proposed tenant improvements, anticipating to have a scope of work to design, engineer, and construct tenant improvements by end of month. 6/26/2019, TDS building, completion of pre-construction scope of work by architects pending appropriation contained in the 2019, I'm sorry, Mayor, that is the clock on the 3 minutes.
Okay, nope, and there's, just looking over at the email, there's quite a bit more to read, so council members, if we can make that available to you via email.
I can provide the concluding comment, if that's okay.
Yeah, please do that.
The final concluding comment on this email is a realistic update on the taxpayers' completion expenditures estimate to complete the project where the funding is coming from would be appreciated.
Okay,
Thank you, Mayor.
thank you.
Justin, this is Doug, can you hear me?
Yes.
Go ahead, Doug.
Yes, thank you. Justin, the way the transmission's coming in, it's cutting in and out quite a bit, so it would be great if you could send copies of all 3 of the citizen comments to me via email. That would be very helpful. Thank you.
Yes, we'll definitely do that. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes citizens' public comment for this evening. Next on the agenda is the mayor's report. I just want to begin this evening by thanking city staff for their continued commitment and dedication to our community in response to the many challenges from the COVID-19 pandemic. I want to inform the council that the city is coordinating with local, state, and federal jurisdictions and Clark Regional Emergency Service Agency, CRESA, in sharing information and working together on the COVID-19 response. A joint information center has been established and jurisdictions are sharing information in daily phone calls with each other. Public health employees have been hard at work in their incident command at CRESA and has organized a uniform command system to help with coordination of the response to the COVID-19 emergency. I would just like to thank Clark County Public Health, and specifically Dr. Milnick and his staff, for the exceptional job that they're doing in providing information to all the communities in Clark County and standing up the emergency center and staffing it with exceptional people. They're all working day and night to make sure that the county is getting the resources that they need to combat this COVID-19 epidemic. I also want to thank the City of Vancouver. They've taken the lead on many of these things, and they've shared a great deal of information with the smaller cities in Clark County. The city manager, Eric Holmes, has just been phenomenal. Mayor McInerney Olga has done an incredible job of showing leadership, as well as all the other city managers and elected officials. The city departments have taken measures to protect employees and residents, including closing city buildings to the public and having employees work remotely. City parks and green spaces are open, and residents are encouraged to take walks and exercise. We have closed our public meetings to members of the public, but could still provide public comment on the city's website. And I just want to note too that the playground equipment, the parks are open, but the playground equipment is closed. I think as a council, the best thing we can do right now is just stay informed and get the best information from credible sources. Earlier this week, I sent out a press release and copied all the city council members on that, and it does have on the second page of that press release, it lists several websites that we can all go to get information. I strongly urge everyone to use the Clark County website and go to the coronavirus tab, and there's a great deal of information that can be very beneficial for learning what's actually going on in the county. And just one other thing is if we could all look out for our neighbors, check on each other, and if you have a neighbor or friend that could use some help, or when you're going to the grocery store to pick up some extra groceries or what have you, I'm sure that would be greatly appreciated by everyone. Just two other comments that I'd like to make real quick. First of all, there will be no mayor's town hall on April 1st. We've closed all public meetings, and I will not have a town hall till after we're through this emergency. And then also, I would just like to thank Mayor Pro Tem Cerveny for presiding over the last city council meeting in my absence. I appreciate it very much. So that's all I have this evening. Again, I think the city is doing a phenomenal job as far as taking care of its employees and still responding to the citizens of the center and providing the services that we need to provide. And I will continue to copy the city council members on emails as far as how the city is addressing and all the governor's proclamations and anything that we need to do to stay in good standing with the law. So that's all I have this evening. The next thing on the agenda is the attorney's report. Bronson, do you have anything for tonight?
I do, Mayor. Thank you. Of course, there's been considerable activities surrounding the COVID-19 outbreak. I'd like to review just some of the actions that have come out of the governor's office recently. Three things. First, on February 29th, the governor issued a proclamation declaring state of emergency related to the outbreak. Since that initial proclamation, there have been 22 additional proclamations issued from the governor's office related to the COVID-19 outbreak. And I just want to take a moment and discuss two of those additional proclamations as they impact the city in particular. Am I coming through clearly for everybody?
Yes.
Yes. Great. Okay. On this Monday, March 23, the governor issued Proclamation 2025, which is referred to as the Stay Home, Stay Healthy order. And in broad terms, that order did three things. One, it ordered people to cease leaving their homes except for engaging in essential activities or engaging in employment and essential business services. And the proclamation goes on to list what those essential activities are, or what the essential business services are in detail. Keeping it simple, essential activities have to do with securing food, securing medical services, taking care of family members, and the essential business services is a 14-page document spelling out all different kinds of businesses. Not included in the essential business services are the conduct of governmental legislative bodies. The second thing that order did was it ordered people to immediately cease participating in all public and private gatherings of any size, and that included community, civic, and public events. The third thing that that order did was it ordered, as of midnight tonight, all non-essential businesses are to cease operations except to the basic minimum operations necessary. And again, they were spelled out in the proclamation. And for those businesses that are in operation, they have to engage in social distancing practices. So that's kind of an overview of the Stay Home, Stay Healthy proclamation that was issued on Monday. And then yesterday, the governor issued proclamation 2028, which I think was an attempt to answer a lot of the questions that his proclamation on Monday raised with respect to how are government agencies supposed to operate in view of the order on Monday. So I sent this morning, hopefully you had a chance to review an email that included a link to Proclamation 2028. That proclamation really addressed issues related to the Open Public Meetings Act and the Public Records Act. And that proclamation, in broad terms, does four things. First, it prohibits any meeting that is subject to the Open Public Meeting Act unless the meeting is not conducted in person and instead provides for remote access, and it provides for the ability for all attending to hear each other at the same time. So that's why while we were having the technical questions, I was raising the issue of, well, proceeding without the ability for people to remotely access the meeting would not be in keeping with the proclamation that was issued yesterday. So glad we got that worked out. The second thing that Proclamation 2028 does is it prohibits agencies from taking action unless the matter is, quote, necessary and routine, close quote, or is, quote, necessary to respond to the COVID-19 outbreak. And I think that restriction was put in place by the governor in recognition of the fact that the public's access to our meetings has been significantly restricted. And so he's trying to throttle down what agencies do during this time where that access is restricted. And we can talk some more about what that restriction means when I get through this synopsis. The third thing that Proclamation 2028 does is it waives or suspends certain requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act. As an example, the requirement to have a physical location where the public can come and observe the meeting that's been suspended, as well as other related OPMA requirements to the Public Records Act. It suspends the requirement to respond to public record requests within 5 business days, and it suspends the requirement to provide in-office inspection and copying of public records. So the Proclamation 2028 relative to OPMA and PRA remains effective through midnight, April 23, and we will see where things go from there. That's kind of my overview of the things that impacts the city most directly coming out of the governor's office. I'd be happy to answer any questions that people might have about that. Okay. And then, just otherwise, the Group Management Hearings Board sent out an email indicating that they believe tomorrow there'll be an order issued relating to Future Wise's motion to find the county not in compliance on certain growth area / habitation issues. And in general, their issue has to do with whether or not the county adopted or failed to adopt reasonable measures to accommodate growth without growth area expansion. The county and the city's position is that the Court of Appeals was very clear in its ruling that any issues related to annexation were determined by the Court of Appeals to be moot. So we will see what the Hearings Board has to do with that, and as soon as we get word on that, I will update you through an email. And that concludes my remarks.
Very good, thank you, Bronson. Council, any questions for the city attorney?
No questions.
None. Nothing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you again, Bronson. So next we have council comments. Councilmember Boff.
Yeah, thank you. I read in the newspaper this morning where there is concern that the current emergency will have an effect on the 2020 census. So I just wanted to pass along to all who are listening since we've all got this extra time on our hands, to get the word out to your friends and neighbors and family to use any idle time they have to complete their census form if they haven't done it already. Okay, thank you.
Good point, thank you. Councilmember Stimmel.
Not exactly take business, but I'd kind of like to give a shout out to the listeners. They've just been awesome over the last week. They have been reached out to us via email. They've called us at home. One teacher, a 6th grade teacher, actually specifically mailed my son some work projects he could be busy working on at home, and I'm just amazed at the response from them. So I just wanted to say thank you. I hope other parents are seeing the same thing, and that they'll reach out to say thank you as well. Yeah, that's all I'm doing. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Councilmember Williams.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
No, okay. I'm not sure if I have the mute button down or not. To tag on to Councilmember Boff's statement about the census, if you haven't done it, it's really easy. Less than 5 minutes. Do it once you get logged into the site. It's super easy. It's not obtrusive. It has some very basic questions, and we do need it because it helps overall for portioning and things like that at a higher level of government. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Strobehn.
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. And Councilmember Cerveny.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to kind of reiterate what the Mayor already mentioned, that we have a number of seniors that live alone and have heightened anxiety right now with the COVID-19 epidemic. So feel free to reach out and touch base with those in your neighborhood, make sure that they have what they need, and give them a little voice and shoulder to lean on during these difficult times, and help one another out. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so next on the agenda, we have two staff reports this evening, and then I believe Chief Peeler from Clark County Fire Rescue is also on the line with us this evening. Chief, do you have anything that you would like to share with the City Council this evening?
Hi, thanks for having me in with me. Remove my mask here. I'm in a modified quarantine myself at my house. I have a fragile daughter, so we're definitely in a unique, unprecedented times. Clark County Fire Rescue is fully engaged right now. We're tracking our people a lot. We're paying a lot of attention to our people, and kind of the unique thing with our firefighters is we're used to being pretty strong people and being a strong link in our families, holding our families together. Just our personality types are naturally that way of being problem solvers and engaged. Something that's been challenging on our firefighters, just mentally, is the fact that within our own families, we are now the weak links. Because we have to continue going out and serving our citizens and doing the job we've sworn to do. And I'm really proud of the men and women at Clark County Fire Rescue, and they're showing up and doing those duties. So we've been fortunate so far because of the amount of precautions they've been able to take with use of the critical PPE. And personally, we've not had any mandatory quarantine because of work-related exposures or anything like that, because our guys are taking proper precautions and doing the right thing. So I'm proud of them. Their folks are responding and showing up to work and doing their sworn duty. That said, there are PPE issues, critical respirator PPE, the N95s, things like that. We're tracking that closely and monitoring that. I'm on a state committee where I got tasked with spending the last week up at Camp Murray, representing the Washington State Fire Service at the State Emergency Management Division in the state DOC. And it was an eye-opening experience about the complexity and the depth and just how far-reaching COVID-19 goes in all fabrics of our communities. And it was definitely an interesting experience. I want to show you that every opportunity I had, I'd look at the Web EOC link that tracks all critical supplies and looking at our local areas and staying on top of things locally as well, looking at requests coming in and trying to help facilitate that. And Cressa, like the mayor spoke earlier, Cressa's doing a good job today and doing good with where we're at in this crisis. But there's going to be further evolutions with the response and what's regarding how emergency management is ran. Those people down in emergency management are only going to be able to continue functioning at this level for so long. It's only sustainable for so long that other local governments and if other folks don't step up and relieve the people down at the EOC, the people working on public health and the incident management team and things like that. And the Clark County Fire Rescue Committee is going down there and helping as much as possible. So other than that, we sent a report about some of the things that we're doing within the fire district that are changing our operations. Nothing special at all. Don't be surprised if you see our guys running around in masks. Our stations are locked down. We're not allowing public into the building, and that's inclusive of the family members. And of course, with the governor's mandate, a stay-at-home mandate, that should simplify. There shouldn't be people come to our stations. If they ring their doorbell, and need help, we're there for them, and they're responding. So, with that said, end of report, unless there's questions.
Thank you for that, Chief. Any questions for Chief Peeler?
No, I'd just like to send out a good thank you to Chief. I deal with CC, Clark County Fire District 6, and you guys are definitely on the ball, and it's impressive the way you guys are operating in amongst all this that's before us, and I wanted to say thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to echo that as well, Chief. Really appreciate all the effort everybody's putting in at Clark County Fire Rescue. So just keep up the good work, and I know that we're going to get through this. With that, we'll move on to the next staff report. First one this evening will be with Finance Manager Dustin Bailey.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. First off, I wanted to talk about city finances related to COVID-19, and as everybody knows on the phone and on live stream, businesses, schools, government offices have closed throughout the city, observing the guidance and directives of federal, state, county officials, and this will have an impact on the city's revenues overall. The severity of this is kind of an unknown at this point, but we are going to see a fiscal impact on a number of different levels throughout the city. The city has received notices from the state of Washington and Clark County noting potential deferrals and delays in remittance of funds collected on behalf of the city, so tax funds collected on behalf of the city and remitted to us. There may be some delays, and again, that's going to cause some fiscal impacts for the city in the long term. Staff are monitoring the activity across the state and are prepared to maintain funding for city services during these times of uncertainty. So we do have the funding available to continue city services. It's not something to be concerned with in that manner, but it is something to plan ahead accordingly. And something that I didn't have in the staff report because I wrote this last week, this week we've been working with Clark Regional, CRESA, and then also the county discussing potential revenue or expenditure reimbursements because of the emergency proclamation from the mayor. We were able to potentially utilize some emergency relief funding for expenses that are directly related to the COVID-19 issue. So we're exploring that and continuing the conversations and hoping to recoup some of our losses through that revenue source. Moving on to Finance Department operations, continuity of services rendered by City Hall will remain in place, even though the City Hall building itself isn't locked and closed to the public. Most of the services will continue to be rendered digitally or using the city's Dropbox outside of City Hall. Originally, when I wrote the staff report, any in-person services were on an appointment basis only. That's no longer happening, so we don't have appointment-based in-person services anymore as of this week. Moving on to something a little bit lighter, the finance staff identified a potential grant funding source to assist in the maintenance of public records. It's a local grant program offered through the Office of the Secretary of State, Washington State Archives, and it may provide funding for the following: digital record keeping software, equipment for digitizing records, and services to digitize identified volumes of records. So what this is essentially software to help us maintain and respond to public records requests and keep things organized. The equipment would be things like scanners, copiers to help us with digitizing. Specifically, one area within the city that we were looking at is building plans and development plans, things like that we don't have the equipment to digitize at the moment. And then services to digitize volumes of records would be essentially volumes that we have in paper, having a service come in, bring us to current so we can continue on from there. So Finance Department staff will be submitting a request for grant funding in all three categories with the emphasis in software to assist in compliance of records, digitizing records held in the Community Development Department. So potential funding, if awarded, would be up to $100,000 in total. Then moving on to the final section of the staff report, gambling tax. I have a breakdown for you of revenues through February for the card rooms. Are there any questions?
Okay, seeing if there are no questions, we'll continue to move on. The next staff report we have this evening is on community development, and that'll be presented by our community development contract manager. Jeff?
Good evening, council, mayor. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good evening. Right. Good evening. I'll be brief. I'll just kind of walk through this staff report a little bit here. So staff have continued to work on a project tracking system. We have a basic system in place, and we need to do some data entry, but otherwise it sounds
sounds like it's a good 1.0 project tracking system to get us started per the McCase-Bizito report. We're also expecting a scope from McCase-Bizito on the developing a fee schedule for building and land use activities that would be ultimately adopted by the council. On House Bill 2230, we were successful in getting that bill amended in the Senate such that the negotiation of payment in lieu of tax, PILT, for tribal-owned property off the reservation is negotiated now between the tribe, the county, and the city, if there is a city in which the land resides. So the amendment was recently adopted by the House, and the bill, as of the writing of this staff report, was awaiting the governor's signature. On the La Center City Hall project, we had communication with the architect last week, and they were finalizing construction documents. They had a couple of sub-consultants that they're working with on various aspects of the project that they were awaiting some information from. If you move to the project list, I will just highlight a couple of items. We received some recent interest in number 3, which is the Lockwood Meadows project. There's another interested party in coming forward with annexation and subdivision of that 20 acres on the east side of the city. For the, let's see here, for Heritage Center Building B, I think if you've driven past the Heritage Center, you can see that framing is underway and they're continuing with that project. Other updates on Minute Management, that's project number 8, which is out at the junction. The site plan and subdivision application were received on March 16th, and staff are currently reviewing that for completeness. The Schwartz B&B, this was a conditional use hearing that occurred in August of this last year. The applicant has come forward and is exploring some other options, potentially a zone change or a variance from the commercial design requirements. And so we expect some kind of application from them in the near future. On number 12, which is Gordon Crest 1, this was a 60-lot subdivision that was approved in 2006. There are two lots, 24 and 25 in that subdivision that apparently were not constructed, and whoever the current property owner is has come forward asking for a legal lot determination. And so there's been a legal notice given for that process, and Ethan Spoo, our contract planner, is running that one. Number 14, the Highland Terrace subdivision. We have a post-decision review and variance for setbacks that was submitted on March 17th, and the applicant is also requesting an amendment to the development agreement. They requested that for the April 6th council meeting, but this information that I'm relaying to you is, of course, a little out of date with our COVID-19 situation, and so we'll work with the applicant to determine when that would come forward to City Council. On the Holly subdivision, there's a pre-application that was conducted on February 27th for lot coverage variances for a few of the lots in that subdivision. Let's see, Riverside Estates, that's number 17 on the project list. Riverside, currently there are, the phase 3, which is the multifamily phase, is still under final site plan review. There are 23 building plans approved in phases 1 and 2. I believe that's in just phase 1, actually, where the building plan's been approved. And there are 14 plans that are currently in plan review. Homes are under construction, and we're having some negotiation with Petro Capital Management, who owns the project, for the phase 4 piece, which is the park piece, and that would involve amending the development agreement. So there are some ongoing discussions there about that project. Let's see, I think another couple of notes here. Number 20, which is Country Hills Estates, the mobile home park. The city met with some of the folks there on March 13th to talk about platting, which is the path they had been going down was they wanted to plat that mobile home park versus some kind of condominium revision. And I believe their legal counsel is working with them to determine what the best path forward is for them. That's all of my updates on community development. Are there any questions?
Yeah, Jeff, Doug here. Just want to say congratulations on getting that amendment to House Bill 2230.
It's, if I can be a little blunt, it's a bit of a Pyrrhic victory, because the payment in lieu of tax authorization in the statute sunsets in 2022. So there needs to be another go at it to extend the PILT program beyond 2022. Any other questions? Well, thank you, council.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Jeff. No,
Good report.
great report, Jeff. And I just, also, to go back to the House Bill 2230, Jeff, it was you and Lloyd Halverson in conjunction with Senator Rivers that really made that happen, and you all did a great job, and it's, yeah, it was just, the way you pulled it together was great. So I take my hat off to you, all of you, and I think Senator Rivers did us a great favor on that one.
She did. Thank you, Mayor.
So, good job. So that concludes the staff reports for this evening. We do have one item under new business, and that's a resolution to, for adjourning the second Wednesday monthly meetings to the fourth Wednesday. And Dustin Bailey, the city clerk, has prepared a staff report on that. I'll let him go through the staff report, and if you have any questions, we can discuss it.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'm not going to read through the whole staff report because we've already talked about the COVID-19 issue, and City Attorney Potter discussed the mayor, the governor, his order to stay home, stay healthy. This resolution is just authorizing the city to essentially consolidate the two meetings into one meeting. So rescheduling its regular meetings to be held on the second Wednesday, from the second Wednesday each month to the fourth Wednesday, to honor the spirit of the order from the governor and to make sure we comply. There's no budget impact, and so staff is recommending the council approve resolution 20-450.
Very good, thank you. Any questions, council?
No.
Does this affect all meetings moving forward? Are we going to have to undo this later? Can we put a limit on it, a 1 month?
This will expire. Ronson, does it expire automatically, or will we have to take action after we get through the coronavirus emergency.
If you go to the last paragraph of the resolution, it says that it will remain effective so long as the stay healthy order remains effective. So it would have its own end life once that order goes out of effect.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions, council?
No.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution 20-450, adjourning the second Wednesday monthly meeting of the city council to the fourth Wednesday. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 20-450, adjourning the second Wednesday monthly meeting of the city council to the fourth Wednesday. Council, again, I'm going to ask the city clerk to do a roll call on this rather than just everybody say aye. Dustin?
Councilmember Boff,
Yes.
Councilmember Stimmel,
Yes.
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Councilmember Strobehn,
Yes.
Councilmember Cerveny.
Yes.
Thank you. The resolution is approved unanimously. Thanks again, council, and Robinson, thank you for preparing this on rather short notice. Appreciate it very much. That's all that we have on the agenda this evening. With that, could I get a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Please be safe and stay healthy.
Stay healthy. Good night.
Good night.